Anyway, I'd like to say good morning to everybody and hallelujah. And God's brought us all here together. Today, my sermon's about blessings. And it's a little bit different than most people would think a blessing is or what blessings are about. And I'll start off by saying never underestimate the fact that you can be a blessing. Well, that being said, it's coming from Hebrews 13:2, where it says, do not forget to show hospitality to strangers. By doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. And to start off, this may sound a little bit self-centered, but it's not. Just bear with me. They didn't know that you were sent to be their peace. What they didn't know was that you were sent to help them. What they didn't know was that you were the answer to the prayers that they had stored up in their heart. What they didn't know was that God was going to use you to give them everything they wanted. What they didn't know was that God had answered their prayers, that God is loyal to us. What they didn't know was that God answered and gave them the solution to all that they were in need for or needing for. Everything God tried to give them, He provided. That goes a bit of a joke. I lost my paper. It's a bit of a joke where I don't know if anyone's heard this joke before, but sorry, it's been a long time since I've preached. So forgive me for my pauses. But the joke goes that there was a man, he was standing on the roof of his house, and there was a great flood. And along comes a helicopter. And he was praying to God, saying, God save me. Along comes a helicopter, the guy lowers the rope, says, get on. He looks at the helicopter and he tells the guy, no, God will save me, don't worry. Then about an hour later, the water's rising even more, and then all of a sudden there's a boat caught on like a chimney, a little rowboat. So he goes down and kicks it off, pushes it away. And he says, God, save me, please save me. And then all of a sudden, when the water's just about up to his feet, this log starts bumping up against the roof of his house, where he's standing. And he goes over there and he kicks the log loose. Well, needless to say, he drowned. And when he got there, he was mad. He said, God, why did you save me? Where was my blinding light in the road to Damascus? And he goes, hey, I sent you a helicopter, I sent you a boat, or I sent you a log. It's not my fault that you didn't understand the blessing. I know it's an old joke. However, it's how people receive blessings. A lot of people don't see the blessings in front of them. Never underestimate your ability, I'll say again, to be the blessing. Sometimes people just need a hand to hold. Sometimes people just need a small prayer. Sometimes people just need someone there to listen to, whether you have a solution or not, whether you have the answer to their prayer or not. As long as you're there and you're listening to them, that's the blessing. People say, God, bless me, bless me. Where's my blessings, God? And sometimes they don't realize that they are the ones that are the blessing to other people. We have to be open to that. We have to be open to the Holy Spirit to show us that. We have to be open to allow Jesus to use us as a vessel of blessings. And people tell me all the time, it's like, that sounds really self-centered. Why do you have to be the blessing all the time? It's like, it's not so much that I have to be the blessing all the time. It's just, what blessings has God given me for you? What have I done? Or what can I do to be a blessing to a friend, to a neighbor. Maybe my neighbor's sick, I'll mow his lawn. That's a blessing for him because he can't do it, he's sick. Maybe one of your other neighbors, she's ill and she can't cook for her family, so maybe by coming over and helping out, you can cook, help her cook. Those are blessings. And people don't see those as blessings, they just see those like other people helping out. But in a way, if you look at it, those are blessings. We are blessings to each other. As God blesses us for our life and the things in our life and the things that we ask from Him, He also asks of us to be blessings to other people. He asks of us to entertain and show hospitality, even to strangers, because we don't know, they may be angels. I've had some experiences where I have no idea if it was an angel or not. But I help people, never see them again, never hear from them again, never know what happened to them. But I did what God asked me to do, to be a blessing to other people, whether it's helping them out with food, with chores, with saying a kind word, and sometimes just shaking their hand and being a friend. That's always a blessing. I'm sure many of you have had those blessings too, where a friend or a family member or something's come over and you're not sure why they're there. But then they help you, or they pray for you, or they just hold your hand and say, I love you. And that's your blessing. So when we say they didn't know that you came to pray for them, or they didn't know that you were sent by God to be the answer to their prayers. It's like the guy that's on the roof of the house. He recognizes the blessing, but he doesn't accept it. It's a lot of times we have problems with that. I mean, everyone does, has its times accepting what a blessing is. We can recognize blessings. I won the lottery. But then it's like, how do I accept that? And people say it's easy, you just take the money and run. There's more to it than that. The blessing is that you recognize the blessing, you won the lottery, great. But accepting the blessing as being yours. A lot of people say, if I win the lottery, I'm giving all the money away to this or that or whatever, charities, friends, family, paying off all my bills. Well, that's fine. But God gave you a blessing. Accept it for what for yourself. And people say, well, that's kind of greedy, that's kind of self-centered, egotistical. It's like, is it really? Is it really that egotistical to accept a blessing? I don't think so. Women give us blessings all the time. They have children. We have children. Those are the greatest blessings in the world, I think. And to me it is. And I think, what a miracle. That God is giving us the ability to have children. And I know parents say, oh, my children are horrible. But I honestly think, I love children, I think they're great. And I think all of them are blessings, regardless of how naughty or nice they are. But the blessing is there. The blessing to mold a child, to teach a child about God's divine presence, to teach a child about there is a way of life for you by accepting Jesus. Regardless of how small they are, you can put those, implant those in their minds right away and give them those blessings. It's hard to understand what to do with the blessing, or hard to understand how to accept the blessing sometimes. A lot of people say, I accept blessings all the time. Okay, maybe you do. But I know for a lot of people who are not, like, how can I put it politely, who are not self-centered, who think the blessings should go to other people. It's hard for them to accept blessings. That's something we got to work on. Every one of us. Doesn't matter what blessing you get. Doesn't matter what God gives you. Doesn't matter what, if a friend was sent to you to pray with you, or your neighbor cut your grass. A lot of times we're too reserved, I guess, to say, oh, no, you don't have to do that. No, I'm good. I don't need that. I can do it on my own. When in reality, God sees our need, and He sends us those blessings. I know it's a bit short, my sermon. Like I said, I haven't preached in a long time. But I really think that as far as like us to understand, we have to always be ready to receive and never underestimate your ability to be the blessing by giving. Now, I'm not talking about giving to tithes and offerings. I'm talking about giving of yourself. I mean, it's easy to put money in a plate. It's easy to give somebody money. It's easy to say, hey, I'm going to give my neighbor some money for Christmas, or my relatives money for Christmas or their birthday. The hard part is to go over there, hug them and bless them with whatever they need. Be open to the Spirit when He advises you, or you feel that you must do something. Because what happens is, like, if you don't become the blessing, you'll miss out on the blessings. Because when you bless others, you're blessed as well. Maybe in a different way, but you're blessed just as much. And Alicia's downstairs. Sorry. I thought my sermon was a bit longer than that. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask me questions. I'm good at that too. I mean, no questions? Yeah.
I have a question, Robert.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I just know that when the Lord truly blesses me, when I'm doing things for others.
Yeah.
And I love helping other people and doing things for other people. And, but I don't have a hard time accepting help when I need it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
So, I think that the blessing thing goes, He blesses me in more than one way. He blesses me by helping others, and He blesses me by sending others to help me.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful, because you're both accepting and receiving and giving blessings to other people. I tell people all the time, look, I don't want anything for Christmas. I don't want anything for my birthday. I just want you to be happy. I just want you to be filled with joy. I personally, I enjoy giving, especially at times like Christmas and Easter and other holidays where, like, a birthday. Yes, please.
Can I share?
Please.
Happened with me.
Please.
A long time ago, I worked at a convenience store down in Byers, Colorado, and there was a biker that come through there, and he was out of gas. I didn't have much money at that time. I didn't pay very good, but I really felt in my heart that the Lord wanted me to give him $5 to build his tank up with, and that point in time, that would have done it. I saw that guy 2 years later. He came, I was at a different store. He tracked me down, gave me back the $5. Well, isn't that something?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
See how the blessings return to you.
Well, it was a blessing to help him out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just incredible to give that, but then that man took the time to write all, because he was way down south. And he came all the way back to Colorado just to find me to give me that money back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, we can.
Well, her name is Jill. She's my trace lady. Every time she calls, I go up there and take the trash out for her. She gives me $1 for trash.
Well, that's nice.
Yes.
I got a quick story about, speaking of blessings. I had a mate of mine. He was in Bible college, and him and some friends decided to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras to preach and teach and try to help people understand the Word. And he's a short guy. He's probably like maybe 5'8" 5'4" at most, about 110 pounds soaking wet. And for some odd reason, there was this huge biker, speaking of bikers, that was there just parked, sitting on his motorcycle, doing nothing, just kind of watching people go by. And he walked up to him and he goes, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And the guy goes, "About what?" And he says, "About Jesus." He goes, "Sure." So he started talking to him about salvation and the road to salvation and what it means to be saved. And all of a sudden, some of his other members of his club come up and go, "What are you doing? What are you talking to this geek for? What's your problem? Why are you wasting time with this man or with this geek, with this jerk?" They were calling my friend all kinds of names. Well, he pulls out this huge chain with a lock on it, and he says, "Leave my friend alone. Go away." I was thinking, wow, that's a blessing right there. The guy actually accepted Christ that day because he was searching for something. And what a blessing for my friend at that time to be there at the right time, or where God told him to go, to be a blessing to that biker. And of course, for him, it was a great blessing to know that someone like that, not saying bikers are bad or anything like that, or horrible people, but it was a blessing for him, for somebody like my size, that's all rough and tumble, to give their heart to God. And it was kind of interesting because years later, he saw that man again when he went to a Bible conference in Washington, D.C. Not only did the guy turn his life over to Jesus, but he became a pastor. What a blessing. I mean, that to me is a giant blessing. When people, I mean, I can lead someone to Christ. For them, that's a blessing for them. They accepted eternal life in Jesus. And that God used me as the instrument to help them. That's a double blessing right there. Any other questions, stories? Please feel free. Like I said, it's been a while since I've preached, so I'm just trying to. Yes, ma'am, in the back. Did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Any other stories? Praises? Yes?
Well, there, he was a homeless person walking right on the sidewalk, on the city sidewalk. He was hungry, so I went to my apartment, gave him a can of corn, and he ended up and ate that. Because I like to feed the homeless.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. My son and I were driving one time, and we had just gotten back from a grocery store, and we were driving home. We saw this lady with a sign that said, "Traveling west, anything will do." So my son, for some odd reason, he says, Dad, can we give her a can of chili beans?" I said, "Yeah." So I pulled over into the turn lane where she was at, and I said, "Go ahead." And he puts out the chili beans and hands it to her. And the lady reached in and says, "Oh my gosh, thank God I'm going to eat good tonight." And she reached in, I mean, she literally dove into the vehicle to give my son a hug. And then the light changed and people were honking behind us, and I'm like, we gotta go. And she's like, "Thank you so much." And I was like, wow, I'd never seen anybody. That was the first time and I've given plenty of stuff to homeless people or people standing outside the road from time to time. But that was like the first time I ever saw somebody who was truly grateful for the small gift that we gave them. And to me, that was a huge blessing for me, because it's like, hey, there are people out there who really need help. And a lot of times we go and we try to help people. They don't want help. They want help, but they don't want help from you, which I think is kind of sad sometimes. But they don't see the blessings in front of them. And that's what I mean by recognizing a blessing and accepting a blessing. They see the blessing, which is you coming to help them. But then they reject it because oh, God will save me in a different way. Kick that boat away. Because you're the boat. You're the log. You're the helicopter that's come to help them. Because God sent you to them to be a blessing, to be a comforter, to be a confidant, to be a friend. And a lot of times, people have a hard time seeing or accepting what God's given to them. Because a lot of people are like, I want that blinding light on the road to Damascus kind of miracle. And a lot of times, our miracles are natural and small. We just got to keep our eye out for them. We got to praise God through good and bad. And that's how you know a lot of times what your blessings are. Any other questions, any stories? Please forgive me for being so short with my sermon. Yeah, Ricky?
Well, she lives here in Fort Worth. She was on her way to school one day, and she hollered out help. So I walked over. I said, what's wrong? Well, this guy was driving up, almost up on the sidewalk. I said, do you want me to walk work with you to the Portland High School teacher? She goes, yes. I was like, listen to me.
Well, that's good. That's good. I think the children are back up here. See them out there. They're peeking through the windows. Well, thank you so much for entertaining my sermon today. I appreciate everyone being here. And like I said, it's been about, I think, 12, 15 years since I actually was on a pulpit preaching.
We appreciate the fact that you're doing it. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
You did a good job, Robert.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Great.
And the thing is, it was a whole different church. I mean, we had a little bit more ceremony that we used to do. I used to go to an Orthodox church, and so we had a lot of bit more pomp and circumstance before the sermon. And then we'd do the sermon, and then we'd have more pomp and circumstance after that, and then we'd dismiss, which, I mean, that took 3 hours. And the sermon was only like 20 minutes, if that, you know. Anyway, it's great to be back up here. I enjoy it. I thank you so much for entertaining me and being a blessing to me by listening. And I'm sorry, but, oh, Felicia's back. Yeah, okay. What I want to do now is I'd like to know, I mean, if anybody is searching and wanting to know more about the Lord and really wants to be part of the body of Christ in any way, shape, form, or manner that they can, all you have to do is accept the Lord. And I'm offering now, if anybody wants to come up and pray with me, I'll be more than happy to help them with understanding the Lord. So I'm making an altar call now. So go ahead, Felicia.
Do you want us to sing or just play?